Good day. You're welcome to another digital bookkeeping session. In today's session, we are going to be looking at tracking sales for retail businesses. Tracking sales for retail businesses. The objective of this course is for you to learn how to track the sales of retail businesses by using simple retail software. Now, I'm sure you would be thinking that we have learned how to track sales of businesses, but what we see is that the sales we learned was on how to use invoice and how to use spreadsheets. But the sales of retail business is different, and how to track the sales is by using a retail software. Is by using a retail software. Now, why do you need this course? I know you already learned how to track sales using invoice and spreadsheets, but retail businesses do not use any of these two because of some reason which we will see later. But they use a retail software because they use something different, and you also want to be able to function in any modern business as an accountant or as a bookkeeper, or let me say a data entry expert. You will have to learn how to track their sales by using the retail software that they use. That is why you need this course. So you may ask yourself, what is a retail business? Retailing simply means selling directly to customer, because normally there is a process in the supply value chain, that is from the manufacturer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, and from the retailer to the consumer. So the retailer are the closest to the final consumer. So retailing means selling directly to final consumer in small quantity. And what you will see is that many of these retailers have many, or let me say plenty customer waiting to be served. Just like when you enter a restaurant, or let me say ShopRite or supermarket, and sales normally in a retail business is instantly made, and there is no receivable, that is, there is usually no credit sales in a retail business. This is how you know a retail business. Characteristic of a retail business. Characteristic of a retail business. Number one, number of sales transaction is usually high because customer are waiting to be served. The number of people that frequent a retail business in a day could be up to a thousands, up to 1,000. That is, the number of sales in retail business could be up to thousands, because people are buying bits by bits. They are buying small, and there are usually many. So the transaction that will happen is not. There are not little transactions. There are not small transactions. You will make sales of more than hundreds, more than thousands per day. So the second characteristic is their bookkeeping record is focused on tracking their sales and inventory, because normally when more sales is made, the inventory will be reduced. So the business will actually need your help to tell them when they need to restock, so they won't have any problem with customers. And the third characteristics of a retail business is customers do not hold, they pay as they buy. That is for most retail businesses, especially the supermarkets, the ShopRites and co. Customers do not hold, they pay as they buy. So example of retail business, we can say a supermarket. A supermarket usually sells products. Restaurants are also example of retail business. They sell products. Even juice bars, they sell products. An example of retail business that sell services are car wash, immunization centers, and betting and game centers. Those are those are example of retail businesses that sells services. That sells services. So you would need to know that retail business can sell both products and can also sell services. So retail software for retail businesses. The retail software we are going to be learning to track sales for retail business is called Loives Retail Software. Loives Retail Software. That is the software that we are going to be using to track sales for retail businesses. Although there are many other retail software that you can be used. Some can be installed and some are also cloud based. Some are web based and others are mobile based. While some are very complicated to use and some are simple. But although the one we are going to be using, which is Loives, is cloud based and mobile based, and it is very easy and simple to use. So things to consider when you are using the Loives is that there are basically two things that you consider. That is the back end and the front end. The back end is just basically where you set up the software. It's basically where you set up the software. While the front end is where you record or track sales. That is the front end, is where you record or track sales. So before you use the front end, you would have already set up the back end. So the front end cannot function without the back end. So for now, in the next video, I'll be showing you practically on how to use the Loives retail software. So that is it for this particular session.